Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Oh, come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peeps that make the thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I am excited to have y'all here on this amazing Thursday, and I'm really excited for my guest who's in the building because we got Claudia Balducci in the building, y'all, candidate for King County Executive, and she's going to be sharing with us her campaign, why she's doing this, and of course, y'all know I got some great questions for her, so I'm so excited she's here. But y'all know I'm excited you're here as well. This is, of course, the top of the show, and this is where it gets real interactive for y'all. Because this is the moment where you can actually share this show with others who you feel could benefit from our daily dose of dopeness we work to give you here on the Day with Trae. And if you can't watch us, y'all know we got you covered because you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network in the Day with Trae. You'll find us there. Well, okay, before I get into it with Claudia, I got to say this. You know, this is that cycle where we are learning a lot about candidates. For those of you who are plugged in, this is the time to really get your questions answered, to stay engaged in civic opportunities that allow you to go into the polls as an informed voter. Now, I am really plugged in, so I have access to so many different candidate forums. But I'll tell you this. This is the time where you really get to learn how is someone going to take your interest into the work that they would do as an elected official. And not often enough can I say this, but there are unique needs that are happening not only in global majority communities, but also for our youth, for our elders, our seniors, those who have very unique needs, for those who are people with disabilities in our disability community, those who are in other subsets of our communities. You know, I'll say this, that if you're not engaged, if you're not asking the questions, if you're not attending these opportunities for community engagement, then I want you to understand what you end up with is oftentimes someone who can speak to what they're going to do for those who did ask questions. And it kind of leaves you a little bit like, I'm not sure what they're going to do for me. But this is the time to get that specific question answered. And so I'm so glad that Claudia Balducci is here because not only is it that she's running for King County Executive, but this is an opportunity to have a candid conversation with her and to share some of the things that she's excited about and why she's actually in this race. You know, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of, probably sleepless nights, I'm sure, for anybody to run as a candidate for anything. You know, if you are someone who is passionate, you care, and you want to make a commitment to serving people, there's a lot that comes with that service. And I want us to remember that politicians really are there for us. So I'm just telling y'all now, I want to start the show by telling you to make sure you get engaged. There's plenty of opportunities and different candidate forums that are happening all over the communities of King County for the King County Executive race. I want y'all to be engaged and informed voters when you go to the polls. There's nothing like knowing that somebody said something on the campaign trail, and if they happen to be the elected official that takes the seat, you have the opportunity to then hold them accountable to what they shared at that time. Don't let it stop once they're in the seat. Even if it's somebody you voted for or someone you didn't vote for, you need to still be able to make sure that you hold elected officials accountable once they are in those seats, so they are truly serving you as someone who has voted for them or as someone who is living in their jurisdiction, okay? So either way, it doesn't matter. I'm encouraging y'all to be engaged and informed voters. Well, of course, after this short break, up next, we have Claudia Balducci in the building. We're going to be talking all about her candidacy for King County Executive right after this break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Hello, welcome to Elite Insights with Carlos Imani. We're looking to offer an in-depth look at event production industry through the lens of client experiences and joint successes. The podcast will emphasize guest interviews, focusing on client discussing their fields and reflecting on their collaboration with Elite Collective. Again, you're with Elite Insights. Carlos Imani here. See you guys in a few.
What is a bestie?
I like you.
She's fun.
It's about to be a good time.
She's always looking out for you.
Since you're my bestie, I will handle it for you.
She makes you think.
Here to uplift and empower.
She's always encouraging.
You are that girl.
Chelsea Edwards, your bestie in daytime.
Like it's a spiritual moment.
Chatting with Chelsea. New episodes weekdays at 5:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Day with Trae. Of course, I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and joining me right now, we have Claudia Balducci in the building. Hi.
Hello. So glad to be here.
Yeah, so great to have you here. Now, this is I gotta say, your background is extensive. As the former mayor of Bellevue, you have some experience that you're bringing into this. Can you just tell us a bit about some of the things that you feel have really shaped you?
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of like running for King County Executive.
Absolutely. I started out just advocating for my own neighborhood. And that led to me looking at things in a bigger way, where if I can do for my neighborhood, I can do for my city. So I ran for city council and served on the Bellevue City Council and then as mayor. And then I ran for county council, because if I can do for my city, I can do for my region. And I've been on the county council now, I'm in my third term. And because a lot of that is not full-time work, I worked for King County for over 25 years. I started as a labor analyst, which is just a ground floor labor relations professional. And I worked my way up to running a very large department, the Department of Adult and Juvenile Detention, which runs the jails. So I've been in local government most of my career in one way or another, as an employee, as an elected official. And what I love about the work, it's public service. When we do our job right, we make people's lives easier and better. Yeah. And that's what motivates me to do this, and why I really was excited for the opportunity when the position came open at County Executive to step up and offer to use all the experience, the knowledge, the partnerships I've developed over 25 years for the people of King County.
Yeah, I think the one thing is there's a huge leap, right, from, what you just described, being city council, being mayor of Bellevue, bringing that to King County Council, and now going for executive. Just the understanding that you gain at each of those levels, I'm sure it is helpful and beneficial to you. What are some of the top things that you feel you've really gained over the course of your career that you could bring into the role if you are elected?
It's interesting. At every level that I've worked, our goals have been the same, just bigger. So I've always wanted to make sure, and I started, in fact, to make sure that there was enough housing in my neighborhood for the next generation, because where I live used to be the affordable housing of the 1950s, and now it's out of reach for virtually anybody. My kid, our 19-year-old, could probably never really expect to be able to afford to live in the community that they grew up in. So that was a motivator for me. And then beyond that, how do we get around? I really am motivated by finishing our high capacity transit system, the light rail and the buses. And if you can do that, if you can have housing where people can afford to be, if you can have transportation that gets them where they need to go, you open up a community for everybody. It becomes less exclusive, more inclusive, more welcoming. So I've worked on those issues at every step along the way. And of course, because my day job was in public safety, that is one of the things we hear about from our constituents the most across King County, the desire for public safety. So I think what I've got, those are still the top issues. Housing, transportation, public safety, community building, I think are the top issues for the county executive as well. So what I've done is I've been able to learn how to deliver, smaller things than larger things, including opening light rail in East King County and North and South. So to take all of that knowledge, how you conceive a project or a program, how you work with people to make sure it's meeting the needs that the community wants to meet, and then how you get it passed through, political decision making, get it, funding secured from the voters or however you have to secure funding, and then implement it. It's that whole sweep of concept to implementation that I've been able to learn about in the various places I've been. And I think that would really make it easy to start on day one as county executive delivering this in the same areas, but for a much broader, it's a very big county representation. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's, serving so many cities, and the cities across the county have unique needs and unique populations. How do you foresee, understanding those unique needs and being able to provide value to the folks in those communities who say, I know that I have something over here that needs to be done, but over there that doesn't even exist. Right. How do you address those nuances?
Yeah, I've been so fortunate in my career. As I said, I started at the neighborhood level and grew from there. But when you start to work at a city level, it's really obvious that first of all, there are 39 cities in this county, and they all have different needs and all have different visions for what they want their community to be. I've gotten to work with people representing all 39 cities closely. We've organized together on things like housing, on homelessness. And I'm super proud to be endorsed by most of the mayors in King County, because you have to listen. You have to realize that what's needed in Seattle or what's needed in Bellevue is very different from what the challenges are in South King County. One specific example, housing affordability is a problem everywhere, but it shows up differently in different places. Where I come from, our housing has gotten so expensive that we're becoming an exclusive place. And the solution is we need lots more housing and lots more affordable housing. But what's happening there is the expensive places are displacing people, and they're displacing people to South Seattle and South King County. So the neighborhoods where there is more affordability, now the prices are coming up because of people leaving the expensive places. Makes it harder for the communities that call those places home to stay, or for their next generation of young people to be able to afford to live there. It's like a wave. Yeah. And we all succeed or we all fail. So that we've got a common goal, but the solutions have to be tailored to the local community. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say King County is the regional government for all those 39 cities. For the unincorporated parts of King County, we are the only government. We are the local and the regional government, and those places have been dramatically underinvested in. And the next county executive has got to figure out a way to make sure those places get the services and the infrastructure that they need, because we've been failing them for a very long time.
Well, yeah, I mean, the level of advocacy for them is not the same because of that lack of local elected officials. So I appreciate you sharing that. I also think too that, the unique approach and understanding the needs, that's really the work of, I think, all politicians. How are you understanding the needs of those who you're supposed to service? And how are you going to meet those needs? I think it's just, if we could just, boil it down to the basic level, that's really what we're talking about. And so how do you find yourself throughout this campaign staying connected to the community to be able to have that channel so that you are listening to those needs while you have your own experience and professional expertise, based on all that you just shared? How are you staying connected to what's happening on the ground for families and individuals?
One of the most wonderful things about this campaign, and I have to say, there's a lot of not wonderful things about a campaign. One of the most wonderful things about the campaign has been the opportunity to get out of my regular area. I represent a large part of King County, but it's 1/9 of King County. I've been able to go to communities, to coffee shops, to candidate forums, to go on walks, so many walks with business groups and local neighborhood associations and people who just want to tell you, look, here's what we have here. We have a real problem with homelessness right here. How are you going to help us? We have a problem with the streets here. How are you going to help us? and getting to just expand my knowledge from being very deep in my own community, where I have spent many years representing people, to now hearing about the broader community. It's been wonderful, just wonderful. And I think that's something that I would absolutely continue. When I became mayor of Bellevue, people would call up the city hall and say, I want to meet with my mayor. And the answer would be something like, what are you doing in 8 weeks? Which was never very satisfying for anybody. So I started scheduling Saturday morning coffees, and I've done them now for well over a decade. Almost every Saturday, I will meet with however many people I can fit in. And it's just, it is so much more beneficial to me than it is to the people who are meeting with me. Everyone will, thank you for your time. Like, no, thank you for your time. Because when I hear from an individual person or family or business owner, this is what you, then I know things I need to know. It's not just a staff report that's been written by somebody and kind of, presented in a sanitized sort of way. I'm hearing directly from the people. It's a county of 2.3 million people. I don't think I'm going to be able to Saturday morning coffee my way, but meeting with more community groups, more and getting everywhere around the county has definitely been an incredible just honor and a privilege, and I would absolutely continue doing that as much as I could as county executive.
Well, you appreciate that answer, because I think for me, the accessibility to our elected officials gets really tough. The jobs that you go in, like on the campaign trail, you're trying to be as available as you possibly can. Right. But then in the seat, oftentimes it's like you said, 8 weeks, right? There's just not enough being done to make sure that door stays open for community. And I think that's really vital. You mentioned earlier, corrections and detention centers and public safety. Right. And, there are unique needs here, obviously, in different communities. One of the things that, I think a lot of community members who are in the Black community all over the place, right? But there is a need for us to understand how we stay safe when, unfortunately, sometimes we have repeat offenders out here. We have folks that, there's a lot of grace that we give. And I think that, that's also a community concern. It's been advocated for by community. But what do you do about that? How do you balance, the grace that, community is asked for when we talk about community policing, different forms of community connection to safety, while also making sure people are staying safe? Right. Because there are still victims out here and families who are like, I don't feel like I'm being seen. How do you address that?
It's easy to say, can I just say, but hard to do.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the full spectrum of public safety, which, depending on which end you start at, starts with prevention, let's say. We invest in education, housing, human services, jobs, all the things that create a healthy, successful life, because we know that healthy, successful people are less likely to be engaged in harm, receiving or creating. And on the other end of the spectrum, there is harm. There are things that happen that are very dangerous: violent crime, property crime. I've talked to so many people on the campaign trail who will tell me stories, and some of them are quite terrible. People who have been killed, people who are business owners and they just can't run their businesses in peace because of all the challenges they have. We absolutely need the response end of the system too. We need to have law enforcement. I worked in the jails for a lot of my career, not because jails are wonderful or because we want to have that be the solution, but because sometimes it's necessary. And so the challenge, in my view, is how do you work that entire spectrum in fairness, with grace, where it is warranted, which is many, many times, but also where there's accountability and people feel that I'm going to be protected, and that someone's going to respond when there's a problem. There was a summit, and I think we may talk about this more, but there was a summit earlier this year for the very first time, a King County summit that was about survivors of crime. And just hearing the stories of how the system does not support survivors. I've known this for a long time because of my job, but if you are a victim of a serious crime, our system is not set up to help you. Our government system is not set up to help you. What you get from us, if you're lucky, is a subpoena to come and testify, which is Important. Justice is important. But where's the trauma response? Where's the mental health counseling? Where's the we do have some crime victims compensation, so you can get some, in some sense, but it does never really reach all of the harm of crime. And I've been asked for commitments, as you might imagine, on the campaign trail. And one commitment that I take very seriously that I've been asked to give is, will you, as county executive, bring the voices of people who want public safety and who are crime survivors into your administration so they are heard? So that when you look at the investments, 86% of what we spend in this system goes towards dealing with offenses. 14% goes to helping and supporting survivors. We have to balance that in a way that is more responsive to the people who are being harmed.
Yeah. I mean, those numbers are strong and, they're not surprising, but just to hear
That's right.
the disparity is even more like of an anchor, right? Where you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now I understand like how serious that is. I appreciate you sharing that. And, lastly, I know we could probably talk for a really long time, but, you talked about doing a lot of candidate forums this month and just being able to hear from people. And my question is, I want to ask about maybe self-care a little bit. Like, I think about the work of our politicians who are actively engaged, staying engaged, not getting complacent. How do you balance that for yourself in terms of, not to get complacent, staying engaged, but also not burning out?
In October, as the ballots are about to come out, there's no self-care. Just to be honest about that, self-care is on hold for about 3 weeks.
I understand.
But when life is a little more normal, I have a family, husband, a 19-year-old new voter, a college kid, and a dog, and I love spending time with them. We travel. But the thing I love to do the most, I love to ride my bicycle. I use it for transportation, and when I have time to do so, I can do a few miles a day. It clears my head, it takes the weight off my shoulders, and it helps me to stay a little bit physically healthy too. So that is just one of the things I love to do.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you have some way of balancing, because I think
Thank you for asking.
For anyone, I think that the work in and of itself is tough, but also rewarding, right? But I think I have questions around, some who either stay in the game too long, they get tired, they get burnt, and you can see it, and you're like, I don't want people, we want people to stay active, right, in terms of like fighting for us.
The best days in this job are when you get to deliver something to the public and stand back and watch them enjoy it. I love watching somebody with a new key to a door that can live in a home that we helped to create. I love watching the crowds pile onto the new light rail system and get to enjoy it. And we're going to be opening to Federal Way, Kent, Des Moines. So exciting. There are trains on the bridge at night now. They're testing. So someday you'll get to go back and forth. There's nothing better than having, dedicated yourself to something and then just getting to stand back and watch people use it and enjoy it, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you this. I'm a Federal Way homeowner, and I live right across the street from the new light rail, and I'm already seeing the tests, and me and my son just go, whoa. We just look and go, whoa. And I just looked it up, like, when is this opening again? Because it's been so amazing to watch it be built.
Oh, I hope to see you there opening day. It'll be fun.
That'll be great. Well, of course, if people want to stay engaged on you and the work you're doing in the campaign, look right there. Let them know how they stay plugged in.
Well, if you're interested in our campaign, please check out our website. It's claudiabalducci.com. Really simple. And thanks so much.
Wow. Thanks for being here and for sharing
you,
your
Trae.
experience.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, y'all, what a great way to show y'all someone who is saying, I have some experience. I think I can do something in this seat. And of course, again, it's helping us be a great conduit so you can be an informed voter. I'll wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
We're electric. I feel like the fans can feel that, and we're just going to keep this going.
He struck him out. Gino, like he never left Seattle.
Keep bringing the energy. We really need it. Let's go.
Got him at home.
The baseball Cal did it. We show a lot of heart. This team has a lot of fight. You guys have been electric. You guys are the key to this, so thank you guys.
In Seattle, it's more than just coffee. It's community. At the station, we brew more than just your favorite cup. We brew connection. From Beacon Hill to Columbia City, we're a space for artists, activists, and everyone in between. A place to gather, create, and simply be. Whether you need a quiet place to work, a lively spot to meet friends, or just a moment to unwind, find your place at the station. More than coffee, it's home. Visit us in Beacon Hill or Columbia City. The station, where community happens.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. What a huge thanks I get to give to Claudia Balducci for joining me today, not only sharing her expertise and experience, but also her passion for why she's doing this. And, 3 issues. She talked about public safety, she talked about housing, and she talked about transportation, y'all. So we know now what she's standing on. Now, the question is to you, right? Is what she's shared resonating with you? Is this someone that you want to be able to go to for maybe one of those Saturday coffee talks and be able to connect with her and tell her what your issues are? Now, you have more information to take with you to the polls. And that's what these kinds of interviews are all about. So I'm so glad y'all were here joining me today. Of course, I want you to not only take the information in, but share it with others, right? We are oftentimes at our jobs or in our neighborhoods talking about, these local elections and how important they really are. And hopefully that conversation is really growing amongst newer voters who are realizing that, they have some power. They can utilize that power at the polls to really make sure their voices are counted and their votes matter, right? Like I say this to my 19-year-old too, right? Like I'm like, hey, get informed, get engaged, understand who you want working for you. And don't just be passive about it. Don't not participate, right? Like this is something that really is important because we think about these local issues and there's so much power at the local level that we don't talk enough about. And so I'm just glad that y'all were able to watch today and get some more information to take along your journey as you decide who you're voting for. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to wrap the week up with y'all tomorrow. And until then at 11 a.m., peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.